Hello, all. Welcome to the Decoding of the Polls, a series of webinars and podcast series organized and hosted by Center for Public Policy Research around the election times. And today we are discussing the general elections 2024. We are planning to host a series of webinars in the next few months. And of course, this is the 25th episode of Decoding the Polls, the program we started in 2018. I thank all the participants and also the viewers of this program, giving us this encouragement to continue this show wherever the elections are happening in India. So today we are having this conversation with Dr. G. Gopakumar, an eminent psephologist, as well as former Vice Chancellor of Central University of Kerala, an advisor to Center for Public Policy Research. Welcome you, sir, to this program.
Thank you, Dr. Dhanuraj. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Sir, general elections always brings a lot of attention about the political narrative that is around the country. And now this time, interestingly, the current government, the running government, seeking one more mandate, even after 10 years of continuation in power. It looks like there's no anti-incumbency. If I go by the trackers and pollsters analysis in the last few weeks, what do you think? How come Modi government survived the anti-incumbency mode? I'm not saying that, I'm not claiming they are going to win elections at this point of time. But given, if you compare many of the elections in the past and also the anti-incumbency factor that played out, and interestingly, this time, if Modi is re-elected, probably he is going to equal Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's record, having 3 consecutive terms. So, according to you, what are the reasons? What are the reasons for such a confidence that BJP is showing this time? They claim that there is no anti-incumbency.
Well, I would start with a small caveat, in the sense that anti-incumbency may be existing, but not to the extent to which they are able to oust the government. Anti-incumbency exists in certain regions and in certain pockets too. We'll discuss that a little later. But what motivated or what enabled the 10-year India government to likely to get a renewed mandate? If we think about that, to my mind, there are 3 broad features which enable the government to reduce anti-incumbency and gain more credibility. Number 1, taking the benefit of the process of globalization and neoliberal economy, the country has witnessed tremendous infrastructural growth. And related to that, trade, investment, and more job creation, maybe at particular levels only, service sector mostly, and industrial sector followed. And these sectors created new opportunities, leading to the rise of a strong middle class across the country. This is the number 1 reason. Although critics may say that it is the one person who dominates the whole country, I just can't agree to that. Considering the fact that we have already emerged as the 5th largest economy, and our purchasing power parity has been growing up, and for a long time, our consistent growth rate. Definitely, if you travel across the country, you can easily find a lot of urbanization, a lot of infrastructural growth, and India is now much more connected. Not only Wi-Fi connection, I am speaking about physical connection, roads, railroads, ports, etc. So these have helped the rise of middle class and also job creation. Maybe not to the extent that we believe, but definitely there is economic growth. Secondly, the welfare agenda of the BJP government trying to attract the poor to its fold, providing security as far as housing, food, health, these sectors. And the recent announcement that 80 crores of people will get subsidized or free food itself is an example of their commitment to welfare agenda. So welfare has not been compromised, as some critics may believe, and there has been more emphasis on welfare, and that attracts the marginalized sections, and that is where you'll find the rise of support coming from the poorer classes. And my third point is connected to the same factor, but slightly modified, the rise of subaltern Hindutva. Hindutva has always been the BJP's plank, but this time it has percolated down to the backward sections. And we have seen how effectively they were able to campaign, particularly the completion of the building of Ram Temple, which is a great motivation in North India. Sitting in Kerala, we may not feel, sitting in Tamil Nadu, we may not feel. But definitely, if you travel across, you'll find how it is strong in North, West, and East to a great extent. And therefore, that has appealed to the ordinary masses, and followed by some of the controversial policies related to Hindutva, like commitment to Citizenship Amendment Act, partial implementation of Uniform Civil Code, and definitely the removal of Article 370. So all these have attracted the Hindu community in general, and that is a third factor. The only addition is that the subaltern Hindutva has become a major factor. So let me conclude. The rise of economy followed by the effective implementation of neoliberalism, the growth of welfare agenda, and certainly the Hindutva element. These three factors has been prominently displayed in the last 5 years and even in the last 10 years generally.
That's interesting, sir, because I take a cue from what you said in terms of neoliberalism and globalization. And when I check the data this time, no, since 1984, Congress never enjoyed absolute majority in the floor of the House. In 1984, they had the absolute majority, maybe because of Mrs. Gandhi's assassination. Since then, they could not form a majority government. 1991, it was a minority government ruled the country for 5 years. 2004 also, even though they formed the government, it was a coalition. Even that time, I remember they were not the single largest party, but that was the coalition having highest number of seats, a pre-poll alliance, and 2009 they had a improvement in that tally. So in a way, it looks like they had, 2024 means it's around 40 years for Congress party to get absolute majority. What went wrong with Congress party in the last 40 years? They were in power in many states. Today, when I look at Indian map, political map, who is in government, not who is in government, there are 12 states which are ruled by BJP, and there are 4 state governments ruled by BJP and coalitions. And then, of course, only in Himachal and in Karnataka, Congress has a state government. So Telangana also they have government.
Yeah.
So it looks like Congress is in a decline, but in politics, people say you can't rule out any party. They all often cite BJP as an example from 2-party MP. Now they formed 2 governments in Delhi with absolute majority. But in your observation, you've been working in this electoral scene for the last many decades. What have been your observations regarding the decline of Congress, and what are the fortunes and what they should have done by this time to counter BJP's dominance in Indian political scene?
Thank you. The decline of the Congress is a creation of the Congress itself, to my mind. During the last 40 years or more, the Congress systematically sidelined the leaders, mostly those who are not completely aligned or committed to the Gandhi family. And that resulted in the eviction of many leaders, many top leaders one by one had to leave the party, and they were attracted to other parties, mostly to BJP, and many senior leaders left the party. On the other side, Rahul Gandhi and later his sister Priyanka, they tried to dominate the Congress leadership, but not to the extent to challenge a major party called the BJP, which is strong as far as its rank and file are concerned because of the strong cadre strength, followed by the mass appeal that it is able to make due to its sensational commitments and programs which they have openly declared in their election manifestos. So, and to crown over all these things, Rahul Gandhi is unfortunately no match for a strong leader like Modi. So, Narendra Modi's leadership and the kind of organizational strength that the BJP enjoys and the strategy through which BJP wanted to systematically destroy Congress, famously called Congress Mukta Bharat. For this, the Congress did not have a rejoinder because it destroyed its leadership. To be very frank, it destroyed its leadership. And Rahul Gandhi himself is unable because Sonia Gandhi is unwell. Rahul Gandhi and his sister both are unable to organize despite his attempts of the two recent jadas or the yatras. That must have appealed, but definitely he still continues in political apprenticeship despite having such a long fortunate opportunity to be at the top of the leader of the Congress. But nevertheless, he is unable to organize the party, and it may take time for him to build the party to the extent. But unfortunately, there are no strong leaders other than those in the Gandhi family. So this is a main defect, and Congress should have developed strength at the regional level and created more opportunities at the regional level and democratize itself in such a way that those who join the party will have a feeling that they'll be also getting the proper elevation. So it is not that the Congress did not have the kind of appeal, but it is unable to organize properly. And BJP on the other side is following more or less the same economic policy of the Congress. And the difference is that BJP is able to create a strong Hindutva factor through its activities, followed by its commitment to economic growth in a neoliberal economy and the capitalist path of development, which Narasimha Rao government and Manmohan Singh government follow. So there are a lot of similarities between the two, but organizing the party, I think, unfortunately, Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi are no match to the BJP leadership because BJP has a strong leadership, a strong line of leadership, and cadres besides the strong support the RSS give to the BJP. So it is Congress' inability to create a strong leadership, to create a democratic organization, and over-dependence on the Gandhi family that has led to the decline of the Congress to the present state of affairs.
So I take a cue from your first, for my first question, you touched upon neoliberalism. The second question also, he touched neoliberalism and globalization. When I watch Rahul Gandhi's speeches, he talks about, going back to the socialist era of Congress governments. And in fact, it was the 1991 Congress government, a minority government led by P.V. Narasimha Rao, introduced or opened up India's economy. And I don't see Congress takes any credit for that anymore. And forget about whether they are projecting Narasimha Rao on their posters and hoardings. But, are they really confused? Or my question is related to the India is a very diverse country. India is, around 91 crore people are going to cast their votes this time. That means that so diverse, and India is still poor in a certain part of the country. So, is Congress lost their track in terms of addressing some of these socio-economic challenges and not able to understand 21st century India, 21st century world is different from what they had practiced 50 years ago? Is it a reason? And Modi is trying to leverage on that gap?
Yeah, that is true. Because if you look at the manifesto, which is still not prepared finally, and the kind of slogans Rahul Gandhi raises, it is mostly outdated. For example, the Congress is trying to bring back the Mandela effect, which is totally out of place now. We are living in post-Mandela age and demanding for consensus with the assumption that this would be a very strong factor to destroy the Hindu unity. But in a fast-paced economic growth, and the world itself is changing so fast, and the kind of progress we have achieved in multi-level sectors. So, for example, the aspirations of the new education, national education policy, the kind of development we have achieved in skilling, and the kind of progress in digital public infrastructure. And look at the way in which the country is moving fastly to catch up with developed countries, and the projection and the aspiration that we will be number 3 in the world in another 5 years or so, or another 7 years or so. That gives more optimism and confidence. So the mainstream agenda of the country should be to ensure a modernized growth, and that kind of modernity demands significant changes in the market, in the rules of the game, rules and games in politics, and that demands that appeal should be more to the youth and also for social security and urban development. Unfortunately, the cause of the farmers has been sidelined almost by all parties, and they stand disunited and also unable to make a powerful impact, despite the fact that BJP had to withdraw some of the farm policies. The recent agitation of the farmers did not make any impact, which makes it clear that no political party is in a position to support them. Unfortunately, they are disunited and disorganized, because you will find the farmers' question, which they suffer mostly in Haryana, Punjab, and the Western UP belt. But by and large, the larger farming class are not taken into confidence by any of these parties. So you'll find that Congress had to rediscover, reinvent its economic policies. It cannot go back to the socialist ideology, because the era had gone, and we should concentrate upon social security and food security. These are all very important things, particularly uplift the welfare sections of the society, and social security is important. But the mainstream path depends upon how we are able to transform the country, and so that it can match and compete with the world in different sectors, not only in information technology, in science and technology, skill, digital development, food, pharmaceuticals, energy. In all these areas, they should have come up with new policies so that the country can grow with more economic strength. I think the Congress has to rediscover and ensure how they can reinvent its policies, not go, because as time and situation change, our policies must also change. So going back to the Mandela effect, I don't think it will create any impact. Even in Bihar, I don't think it is going to create any impact.
So now let's discuss about the opposition parties. India Alliance, when they came to power in 2019, they said they claimed they had 26 parties in NDA, even though many of those parties never won an election as such, and also most of the parties have less than 1% of vote share. So majority seats, or we know that 303 seats won by BJP last time. So I think they keep forming alliances. I mean, we'll get into the discussion later. Their latest allies in South India and all, why BJP is forming those allies. But going back to the discussion on opposition unity. Opposition parties came together later last year to form this India Alliance. Do you think it was very late for them to form such an alliance? And also, they lack the coherence and competitive strategies to counter NDA and a strong leader like Narendra Modi. Because why I say this, because there were occasions when opposition parties could have come together and opposed BJP-led government in Delhi. 2015, just after 2014 elections, BJP lost Delhi elections. Then they lost Bihar elections. Then even 2019, just before general elections, they lost those 3 states, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. Then now they lost Karnataka elections. They lost Himachal Pradesh elections. So it is wrong to say that it is a complete BJP, electioneering in India. I mean, all elections are won by BJP alone. there were opportunities, and also something like demonetization. I don't know why opposition could not push back that demonetization impact. So where, I mean, now they're struggling to come up with strong strategies, and also all the pollsters are saying that it's too late to do this, and also they lack some strong leadership in the India alliances, and plus somebody like Mamata Banerjee. They are all, Nitish Kumar left the alliance. Mamata Banerjee is fighting elections of her own in West Bengal. So now Congress, we discussed a lot about Congress. Now I want to discuss about opposition and their unity while we face this general elections 2024.
Yeah. There's a lot of truth in the argument that the opposition alliance came much late. And except ousting the BJP from power, there is no common rallying point. We know very well Nitish Kumar joined the India alliance with the assumption that he will be the prime ministerial candidate. But once it was proved that there won't be any protected prime ministerial candidate, and his chances of becoming an alternative prime minister against the BJP government, against the BJP in the elections, he shifted his position so that he can at least retain his chief ministership in Bihar. And similarly, you'll find you go to Odisha, where Navin Patnaik is a indirect supporter of the NDA. Although he controls the state and has good governance at his point, all his time his regional support has been focused towards NDA. And the defeat of the disunity of the opposition is not only because of opposition, but also the clever tactics adopted by the by the BJP to split the opposition alliance. That was how Shiva Sena was split, the NCP was split, and you will find such moorings taking place even in South India, like Telangana or in Andhra Pradesh. So they are trying to create and build new coalitions. The difference is that unlike in 2004, where BJP depended upon the brain of Pramod Mahajan, this time they have a lot of think tanks and they are very sure that they wanted to retain power. They have to do a lot of homework. And therefore, they try to align in such a way and at the same time develop emotive issues like what we call CAA impacting upon West Bengal, and also the Sandesh Kali incident creating a religious polarization. So when you do all these things, the opposition parties failed to give a counter narrative. So even the Congress had to follow soft Hindutva for the national level. Aam Aadmi Party had to follow soft Hindutva. So by and large, the Hindutva element became prominent, and you have a direct Hindutva party called the BJP, and the Congress and the Aam Aadmi trying to follow that, which shows that the public policy agenda has not been motivated by economic aspects, but rather it has been motivated by emotive issues and particularly sensitive issues related to community, religion, etc. So opposition parties, particularly for a national election, they won't be preferred by the people because they want a stable government at the national level. Given that idea, unlike in state election, their commitment more to a national election, unless you create a strong alliance, at least by protecting one candidate against the BJP, like what the opposition parties did in 1977 in the wake of emergency, post-emergency election, I don't think they have any chance. And they stand disunited. There are a lot of disunity between Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress, Trinamool and the Congress, Trinamool and other Aam Aadmi Party. So they all fight each other and they don't have common policy and common agenda. And the failure of them to create an alternative economic policy and a counter narrative, I think, has been instrumental for the weakness of the opposition unity. So opposition parties, and I would attribute still that opposition parties would have a better chance had the Congress been able to challenge the BJP. But the inability of the Congress to challenge at BJP at the national level is a prime factor. Despite its national presence, Congress is unable to challenge the BJP at the national level. And unless you have a strong national parties, these smaller parties or regional parties like DMK in Tamil Nadu, or you find other regional parties in states like in Punjab or Haryana, or you come to Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, or you go to other regions. So all these places, the regional alliance depend to a great extent upon how the national party is able to pull out maximum vote share, and that is exactly where the inability of the Congress party frustrates the opposition to unite under a common leader. So long as this opposition disunity exists, their weakness being explored, I don't think ordinary voter will prefer them at the national level.
So since you mentioned Pramod Mahajan and 2004 elections, I will take your attention to India Shining campaign of 2004. And, many expect that 2004 is going to repeat because, that time Vajpayee was so confident, or probably L.K. Advani was super confident to get back to power, and they advanced elections, but they lost elections, even though they've become the leading party, a single largest party. So do you think such kind of a scenario existing in 2024 after 20 years? Because no government in India was voted for third term as such, except for 1962 elections when Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was there. But afterwards, we have not seen even during Mrs. Gandhi's time. So what do you think? There's a 2002, 2004 movement waiting in India?
Not a great possibility unless BJP commit more blunders in the coming weeks. We are just 17 days before the elections. BJP is overconfident, and that overconfidence came partly through their victory in the recent assembly elections, particularly in the Hindi belt, the cow belt. And they're fairly confident of Karnataka in the south. So given the strength in North India, plus support coming from Karnataka and few isolated victories in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and maybe 1 or 2 seats in Tamil Nadu, they believe that they can still maintain a majority. So I don't agree that they are going to get a huge majority. But 2004, repetition of 2004 is not possible because the brain gain and the kind of think tanks advising the BJP are very different. But I think BJP committed some mistakes. For example, they stood exposed in the electoral bond issue. But the solace is that most of the parties are beneficiaries of electoral bond, not just the BJP. BJP must have got the larger share of the cake, but every party, recognized parties, got share of this in electoral bond. So corruption issue, I think it is the common say, sab chor hai, that kind of feeling that appeal to everyone. And even the Aam Aadmi Party is no exception, has been proved by the arrest of Aam Aadmi Party convener and the Chief Minister of Delhi. And as a result, we find that the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal did not create a kind of an emotive reaction from the society. So, but still, I agree with you saying that the BJP is somewhat overconfident, and that overconfidence may not help them in terms of having a kind of a bandwagon effect. But still, they are in an advantageous position. But I don't think that 2004 will be repeated, given the kind of the aggressive militant leadership, unlike moderate leadership of Vajpayee in 2004. BJP is much more aggressive, and also the kind of appeal made by the charismatic leadership of Narendra Modi, and being the great vote catcher, and he is able to attract people in large numbers, and the kind of election strategies repeatedly made. And if you watch the kind of campaign before the announcement of the election, the kind of welfare agenda that is being circulated through social media, print media, television channels. So all these and the kind of Modi Ka guarantee, all these have created a lot of impact among the ordinary people. And therefore, BJP is still in a relatively comfortable position. I won't say that they are going to win 400 seats or 370 seats, but they may be able to get a simple majority in the coming election.
So again, reflecting on what you said, out of 420 seats, 420 candidates declared by BJP so far, around 107 MPs are not given seats this time. They are replaced by new faces or those who came from other parties to join BJP. And it is, it's sometimes I feel like it's like cricket match. When one team scores 450 runs and then the next team, the second team scores only 50 runs. Here, Congress is in such a situation where say Congress had only 52 MPs, whereas BJP has got 300 seats, and then they're replacing more than 100 MPs. Probably the winning candidates or those MPs, many of them have won these seats for 4 times. And so much confidence. Some people say like it's also arrogance. Some people say that BJP is becoming Congress-like party because they are also, the turnouts becoming MPs, the candidates for them. How do you explain this scenario? BJP is so confident they have this formula. Last time also, I think they had replaced around 90 odd MPs. 2019 elections from 2014 winning candidates. So they keep changing this. We have seen in many state assembly elections also. BJP has a habit of replacing or changing, replacing or substituting their winning MLAs and MPs. And no other party takes that risk. So what is the difference BJP has with other parties?
Yeah, it makes a world of difference because they conduct surveys, in-house surveys to assess the popularity of the current MP. And if they feel that there is anti-incumbency against the MP, they will change the candidate and bring a new candidate who can be in a position to appeal to the youth and the new voters particularly. So that is where they work systematically. The anti-incumbency factor they wanted to overcome, and for which they are trying to conduct surveys across the nation. And the replacement of the candidates will not create any revolt, unlike in Congress party or other places. And they will try to present more feasible candidate who will be more acceptable to the electorate. And that way they are very cunning. They are very strategically in a position to do that. And coming to the last point, whether this is going to create and how Congress is going to impact upon the society through their elections, I think Congress will certainly improve its style. From 52, I expect Congress to score around 75 this time, or a little more, up to 80. I don't mind. I don't have any problem in assessing that. And the BJP vote share may more or less remain the same, but it will be somewhere around 300 or 295, 290, between 290 to 300, the BJP. And I do expect another 25 for its allies, 325, 330. That would be the maximum that they can expect. But Congress will improve its share because they are going to see it in Telangana, and they are going to get the support from Tamil Nadu because of the alliance with DMK, and little benefit definitely in a few states, including Andhra Pradesh. And then in Karnataka, they may win few seats, but the major share will be taken. 70% of seats will be taken away by the BJP anyway and the NDA together. But going to other states, particularly Hindi belt, the only state the BJP will win more seats is Uttar Pradesh. From 62, they may gain another 10 seats to the extent that 72, it may become 72. But in other states like Gujarat or Madhya Pradesh or Rajasthan, Haryana, they have reached the saturation point, even in Bihar. So BJP has to retain that. That saturation point will become difficult and they may lose few seats. So with the result that retaining 303 is difficult and may end up by 290, 295, 300, that's all. But even then, they are crossed their simple majority mark. 273 is a cutoff mark, and they will definitely cross that mark by 295 or 300 maximum. And the allies will get definitely 25. Okay, Northeast is with them because 25 seats in Northeast, of which 11 seats to Assam is pro-BJP, and all the Northeastern states are going to support the BJP. So those 25 seats, they don't have much problem. And they do have problem in Punjab, a little problem in Bihar, and definitely some problem in Maharashtra. But the surprise victory will come from West Bengal. Unlike last time when they got 18 seats, probably they may end up by 22 or so because of the kind of polarization occurring in West Bengal. So few losses, little more gains. So more or less it comes close to that. And on the other side, the Congress will definitely improve its short share and seats also, but nowhere near the mark. And the allies also may win few seats. So opposition will not be that weak as we expect. And that is very important for a parliamentary democracy. A strong opposition is essential for the growth of democracy. And as you find some of the recent issues like indiction, the kind of vendetta approach that they try to adopt to the opposition parties, arrest of some of the leaders, maybe genuine or otherwise, But in any case, there's a feeling that the quality of democracy is being suffered at the hands of authoritarianism, and some criticism is emerging in that context. Despite that, the opposition parties were too late to unite together. And if they bring a strong alternative candidate, 1:1, I think situation can be much more better. But I doubt whether they are able to do that. Even in Kerala, they are not like that. Thank you.
So that's a very positive note to end this discussion, sir, because so heartening to hear that we are going to have a better number for opposition in parliament. So I'm sure we will have more healthy debates and discourses and deliberations in parliament. That is very important for a parliamentary democracy. I'm sure we have a long way to go. We have 2 more months, almost like 8 weeks to go before we could conclude. Whether this our discussion around general elections are going to be true in the real sense or not. But the last question before I let you go, I started with this question of anti-incumbency. Do you think there is a pro-incumbency in favor of BJP?
Yes, because a party getting power for the third time, unless pro-incumbency operates, how can it do so? So it is not just a status quo, it is pro-incumbency is there. And that pro-incumbency is a reflection of the strong leadership provided by the Prime Minister, the kind of national policies, foreign policy, national security policy, besides the benefits achieved to the society through economic growth. And economic growth must have created problems otherwise, but definitely we are an unequal society. But despite our unevenness, the rise of middle class is a factor to be reckoned with. And therefore, the society depends upon how we are going to change. And since optimism has been created, and the very fact that Modi commit himself to the guarantee point, and that Modi ki guarantee gives a kind of optimism and confidence, and that I think helps for pro-incumbency. But this pro-incumbency is not highly motivated like where you expect a landslide victory. And the claim of 400, I don't think it is only just to create a bandwagon effect, and that is not going to work as easily. But definitely there is a pro-incumbency element that will help the NDA government to come back to power in the coming 2 months. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's the end of this first episode of Decoding the Polls General Elections 2024. Dear viewers and listeners, we will come back to with next episode later this week. Please tune in and see you then. Thank you so much. Thank you.